This is the Content Marketing Podcast, episode number 189, To Outsource or Not to Outsource, an excerpt from my new book, The Content Marketing Coach. Hello and welcome to the Content Marketing Podcast. This is the show where we help you grow your tribe and your bottom line through insanely good content. I'm your host, Rachel Parker of Resonance Content Marketing, and today is August 25th, 2016. Hello, or as we say in Texas, howdy, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. Just a reminder, this podcast is available on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and now Google Play Music, so if you like what you hear, please feel free to click on over and subscribe, so you can get every single episode delivered directly to your happy little ears. Well, as you may have heard, Houston, we have a book. That's right. The Content Marketing Coach, Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win, is now available for pre-order at contentmarketingcoachbook.com. Now, you have just a few more days to score your pre-order bonuses. If you pre-order by August 31st, which is just a few days from now, you'll score some sweet MVP bonuses, including an exclusive webinar on time management, a free copy of the Content Marketing Coach's Playbook with some targeted strategies for your blog, email, social media, etc., and even a 20-minute phone consultation with me. That address again is contentmarketingcoachbook.com. In fact, as soon as I finish this recording, I'm going to be hopping on an interview with John Jantsch over at the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast, so I get to be on the other side of the microphone. That'll be cool. Okay, all this month I am sharing juicy insights from the book, and last week we talked about building your content marketing strategy, and we're getting to that time of year when we need to start thinking about that. If you happen to miss that episode, feel free to check it out on iTunes or Stitcher or via the RSS feed. Today I'm sharing some more insights from the book, and we'll be talking about the question, to outsource or not to outsource your content marketing. But first, it's time to check in with our news feed for this week's rundown of news you can use. You may have noticed that your Facebook page is looking a little bit different these days. Facebook recently rolled out a new layout for pages, and these changes include an updated layout with a cleaner design. And one thing you might notice is that your profile picture is now off to the left. So when we create our cover images, we no longer have to worry about including that little cutout for the profile picture, which is, always good. There are more prominent button placements that drive the actions that matter to you. That's a quote from Facebook. And improved navigation tools that, quote, make it quick and easy for people to find important information about your business, close quote. Facebook has confirmed that these changes have rolled out to all Facebook pages. So if you haven't been to your Facebook page, check it out and see what looks different. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about Twitter's introduction of stickers, and this is what Twitter called, quote, a fun new way for Twitter users to add a pop of creativity to photos and connect them to the world on Twitter, unquote. Translation, we ripped off Snapchat. Okay, let's be honest here. Hey, got to keep up with the times. Well, now Twitter is starting to roll out promoted stickers, which I think I predicted when we first talked about this topic. I said, brands are going to jump all over this. So yes, brands can create and promote custom stickers for anyone on Twitter to use. So I haven't seen any of these in action, but I'm assuming if you're posting a photo and you want to put in a sticker of a can of Coke or something else or a Starbucks coffee, I guess you'll be able to do that. The promoted stickers will appear in the stickers library for anyone on Twitter to use, and Twitter has confirmed that promoted stickers are currently available globally to select marketers with a managed account. I think the translation for that is if you spend a whole whopping lot of money promoting your stuff on Twitter, you probably have an account representative who can set you up with promoted stickers. So that is the latest out of Twitter. Okay, our content hit of the week is a post called 6 Signs Your Content Marketing Strategy is Failing. This is by Jason Demers over at Forbes. Now, failure is the new F word, right? It's one thing that nobody wants to talk about. But failure is a wonderful teacher, especially expensive failures, right? Those are the ones that are the most painful and the ones we learn the most from. And sometimes, when it comes to our content marketing strategies, we do our best, we do our research, we look at analytics, but sometimes, despite our best efforts, they fail. They just fail. And those failures are important learning opportunities for us and for our teams. Yes, they're expensive, but they're important. So in this article, Jason introduces us to 6 signs that what we're doing just isn't working. And of course, the sooner we can recognize signs of failure, the sooner we can do something about it. It is an excellent article, and I will provide the link in the blog post for this episode. That is it for this week's update. If you stumble across something you think might be of interest to your fellow content marketers, please tweet it to me at @ResonanceCont, resonance content with the ENT lopped off, so that we can share. Now it's time for this week's Spotlight segment. To outsource or not to outsource, an excerpt from my new book, The Content Marketing Coach. All month long, which is, I guess this is the last week of the month, we are sharing insights from my new book, The Content Marketing Coach, now available for pre-order at contentmarketingcoachbook.com. And today we're talking about the question to outsource or not to outsource. And this is from chapter 15. And, this section, this is the last section of the book, and I really... I put together the rest of the book where I talked about building your strategy, and had I stopped there, the book would have been just fine. But I really wanted to get into, what questions do I get from people? And I get a lot of questions about outsourcing. People just are not sure how it works, how to find the right people, what to outsource, how to outsource it, how to manage that relationship. I get so many calls from people who ask, okay, how does this work? So I decided to add a section about outsourcing just to educate you on how to decide whether you need it, how to find the right agency, how to work with them on a regular basis. So I just want to share some of those insights with you today. Now, in a perfect world, every marketing team would be able to handle all the demands of a content marketing strategy and program and practice on their own. They would be totally self-contained, and that's the best scenario. It really is. I'm in the outsource business, and I say, if your team can handle it, that's the perfect scenario, because they're on the ground, they know exactly what's going on, they know your audience very well. And if you have the skill sets to match with that, then hey, you are golden. Go for it, dude. But this is seldom, if ever, the case. Most marketing teams I know, even big teams in corporate companies, they're constantly slammed. They're constantly bombarded by demands from all sides on a daily basis. The sales team wants a new brochure. The CEO has decided he hates the website and wants a new one. You've got new product launches. You've got trade show season to deal with. So for most marketing teams, the ability to create, implement, and carry on a content marketing strategy on a consistent basis is just not possible. It's not realistic. So outsourcing is a viable option. Now, we have to approach outsourcing just as strategically as we do everything else. Back in the day when content marketing was just starting to enter the mainstream, conventional wisdom, if there is such a thing, it's dictated that you've got to do it. You either do it yourself or don't do it at all. And then, reality set in. Content marketing is all about consistency, and it's not just producing a brilliant blog post once every couple of months. It's about being consistent week after week, month after month, year after year. And for many marketing teams, they just are not able to keep up that pace on their own. So why outsource? So before we get into how to decide whether outsourcing is right for your team and for your company, I want to look at some of the advantages. Now, the obvious advantage is take all this day-to-day work off your plate so that you can focus on focus on what you need to do with your team and your company, and maybe, God forbid, leave the office at a decent hour and be able to go home and spend some time with your families, or with Netflix, or whatever floats your boat. But I want to talk about some of the other advantages. The first advantage is built-in expertise. content marketing agencies have this thing down. They know the best practices in blogging, in email, in social media. They keep up with changes in social media and SEO, which, as we all know, is quite a task. And when they have new team members come on board, they take on the task of educating them. Think about the last time you hired a new team member and the time and effort it took to get them up to speed. Well, your content marketing agency is going to have all the expertise that you need at a moment's notice. So, once that onboarding process is done, you don't have to train anybody. They know your brand, they know your audience, they know content marketing through and through, and they are ready to go. So that expertise is advantage number one of outsourcing. The second advantage I want to talk about is accountability. Because one of the reasons many teams fall off course with their content marketing is that it gets shoved to the back burner in favor of higher priority objectives. I talk to so many people who say, oh man, we were rocking and rolling, our blog was doing great, our social media was awesome, and then we came up against a product release that had us soaked for 6 months, or something happened. But by contrast, when an agency signs you on as a client, they accept full responsibility for the deliverables that they've promised, or they will not get paid, or they will get fired. There's no, oh, gee, we wanted to work on your blog, but we got busy on other stuff, or our writer was on vacation and we forgot to get somebody to fill in. No, if your agency team does not deliver, their future with you is in dire danger, and they will act accordingly. So they will add that accountability into the equation. The third advantage I want to talk about, and this is one that not a lot of people consider, it's objectivity. So when your audience interacts with your brand, they are looking from the outside in. So when your team goes to create content, they have to consciously switch off that insider perspective and put themselves in that potential customer's shoes, or in that audience member's shoes. And if they succeed, you end up with top quality content that speaks to your audience using their language. And if they fail, then you wind up with, jargon filled, self-serving stuff that nobody outside of your company really cares about. But as an agency team views your brand from the outside in, just like your audience does. And so they are able to cast an objective eye on what you're doing or what you're talking about doing, and ask some tough questions saying, are you sure this post is going to serve your audience? What problem does it solve? How will it inform, educate, entertain, or inspire them? I'm working with a client right now, and we're talking about topics for their blog, and I had to say, whoa, time out. With the blog, we don't want to slip into, here's the reason of the month why you should buy from us. We need to broaden our horizons and be more of service to our audience. And that objectivity is an advantage that a good agency team will always bring to the table. And then the final advantage I want to talk about is consistency. And I talked a few moments about how product launches and trade show seasons and website redesigns can all completely derail content marketing because it gets the team so thoroughly soaked. If they are working 12 hours a day to get this website launched, then who has time to work on the blog or on a podcast or on videos? So working with an agency helps you ensure that content marketing continues to happen no matter what, no matter product launches or maybe a team member leaving. That could be another disruption to consistency. No, your agency is signed on to make sure that happens no matter what is going on in your company or elsewhere. And again, your team maybe possibly stands a chance of getting home at a decent hour, which is good for everybody, right? So those are some of the advantages to outsourcing that most people don't think about. So now I want to look at why companies don't outsource. When I talk about what I do and people go to their CMOs or their CEOs with the idea of bringing resonance in to outsource their content marketing, I hear some of the pushback that they hear when they talk to these folks. The number one excuse that I hear is, well, these people don't work in our industry. They don't work in oil and gas. They don't work in the hospital or the healthcare industry. They can't possibly understand to the level that they need to create effective content for us. And so I want to talk about a reality check here, is that agencies live and die by their ability to understand their clients. I mean, we go to tremendous lengths to really understand the brands we're working for. We go into a lot of detail to understand their audiences. And yeah, there's always a ramp up period where we're trying to get a feel for how we can best express what this brand needs to express. But once we get rolling, it's pretty transparent. And sometimes when our clients have admitted that they outsource their content marketing, a lot of people are surprised. They say, wow, I would never have guessed. It sounds just like you. So the fact that your agency is not embedded in your industry, don't let that hold you back from at least exploring the possibilities with outsourcing. The second excuse that I hear a lot is we don't want to give up control. And this excuse, or this reason, it finds its roots in one of the biggest myths about outsourcing. And that is the myth that when you outsource, you are completely tossing your content marketing over the fence. You give up all control. You're going to have no say in the topics you cover. You're not even going to see your content until it's published. You're just totally handing it over. Now, a good agency would never allow that to happen. I've had clients try to toss stuff over the fence and get totally disinvolved. And I said, no, this is a partnership. And good agencies will establish that working relationship that keeps you in the driver's seat. They're going to make sure that all topics are run by you ahead of time, that you have input, that if you have a topic that you want to cover or something that you want to do, that they are there to listen to you and to incorporate your needs into your plan. So this idea that when you outsource, you give up total control, if you choose the right agency, that should not be a concern. And then the fourth and final excuse that I want to talk about is the inevitable, it's too expensive. It is just too expensive. They get that proposal, they flip to the back page immediately and see what that monthly cost is going to be. And they throw up their hands and say, oh, no, that's too expensive. Well, I got to say, we need to think about this a little more closely, because one way or another, if your company is signing on to this content marketing thing, you will be paying for your content marketing. So if your internal team does it, remember, you are paying their salaries, their benefits, the cost of their equipment, their office space, their desk space, and all the other expenses that are associated with having a full-time employee. Even if they're not dedicated full-time to content marketing, part of them is, and those hours those hours cost the company money. And then, of course, if the day-to-day deliverables turn out to be more than your current team can handle, you'll need to hire on additional employees. And we all know what goes into hiring additional employees. There's a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of expense. You got your placing ads, you've got interview time, you've got onboarding expenses. So after considering all this, if the agency's price tag still seems steep, I encourage you to consider the additional benefits that we talked about: the built-in expertise, the accountability, objectivity, consistency. And you might start to see that price tag in a little bit more perspective. So the next question, is outsourcing right for you? Like I said, I am in the outsource business, and I will be the first to admit that outsourcing is not right for everybody. In fact, if you can handle the demands of content marketing within your team, that is golden. So when you think about it, I encourage you to consider these questions. Number one, is your company committed to a strong content marketing program? Now, this seems like a very basic question, but there's committed and there's committed, right? If you are director of marketing or VP of marketing, you are totally sold, you are totally on board with content marketing, and the C-suite doesn't seem to see things the same way, the folks who approve your budget don't see things the same way, you may have some educating to do before you start exploring agencies and submit that budget request. Question number 2, are your needs not quite enough to justify hiring a dedicated team? If there's more to do content-wise than your existing team can handle on a consistent basis, but not quite enough to justify bringing on new team members, outsourcing can be the perfect option for you. An agency can fill that gap while also accommodating the peaks and valleys in your levels of busyness that occur throughout the year. Question number 3, is your team's collective skill set up to the task? And, I talk to so many people who are, they interview for content marketing positions and people say, oh, great, you're a good writer. You're on our content marketing team. But it's content marketing is about much more than the ability to write a blog post. It involves understanding of branding, strategic planning, lead generation, SEO, thought leadership, and a whole slew of other disciplines. So if you have some skill gaps in your current team, then an agency could help fill those. And then the one question that I always want to ask is creating content fun for your team? Does your team enjoy creating content? And sometimes people who come to me say, yeah, we can create content. We just don't enjoy it. It's just not our thing. And I will say to them, or I say to everyone, if content ever becomes a chore, if writing those blog posts and those emails and those social posts, if that ever becomes a chore, then your audience is going to be able to sense that. They're going to sense that you are not totally thrilled about imparting this information to them. So, rather than putting your team through an exercise they don't enjoy that has to get done week after week, month after month, year after year, why not bring in some content geeks who just love to work on this stuff and can work on it very, very happily all day, every day? And then the final question I encourage you to ask, is it a challenge to keep up with the latest developments? The world of the content marketer is constantly changing. The reason I added the news feed to this podcast is that there's always something going on in SEO, in social media, and the people I talk to are so frustrated because they can't keep up with it. Well, if you sign on with an agency, keeping up with the latest developments, that's part of their job. That's what they do. So, if your team, if you feel like you're barely hanging on by your fingernails and you have no idea if what you are doing aligns with best practices, then you might start to think about getting some outside help. So those are some of the questions I encourage you to ask in deciding whether outsourcing is right for you. Again, it's not perfect for everybody, and sometimes I talk to people who are considering outsourcing, and after talking to me, they say, I think we're going to try it on our own. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. If you can do it on your own, do it consistently, do it well, more power to you, dude. That's awesome. But, if you are struggling in certain areas, then you might want to think about talking to an agency. And the final, what is it? It's an idea. It's an idea. The final idea that I want to leave you with is that outsourcing doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. Maybe you are rock and rolling on your blog. You are cranking out blog posts once a week, twice a week, doing a great job with that. But the day-to-day social media posting is kind of kicking your butt. It's not working for you. Or maybe you have a great team of writers, but you need help with infographics or with videos. Whatever that gap, don't let that hold you back from contacting an agency and talking to them about what they can do. Maybe you can say, okay, we're good on areas A, B, and C. We need help on D and E. What kind of package can you put together for us? Or how can we talk about outsourcing those services to you? And they will be more than happy to talk to you about how they can help you fill whatever gaps that you are dealing with. So that is the gist of the chapter 15 of the book, To Outsource or Not to Outsource. If you have any questions or want to add to the conversation, I would love to hear from you. And the best way to reach me is through the website, resonancecontent.com. Now it's time for our content marketing tip of the week. We are rolling into the days of late August, and here in the States, we are looking at Labor Day right around the corner, which is the official start of the fall season. So fall is nearly upon us, guys, believe it or not. It's been a long, hot summer, and September will be here before you know it. And as we all know, when September hits, it's going to be a mad dash to the holidays. And if your company follows the cycle of being not so busy in the summer and having a crazy fall, then put your running shoes on, because it's going to get nuts. We're going to have trade show season's going to ramp up again. A lot of product launches happen in the fall. It's just a very busy time of year. And that's also the time of year to start thinking about our 2017 strategies. So before things get crazy, you might want to start putting the pieces in place to start doing that strategic review and creation process. So let's start thinking about what our strategies are going to look like next year. The first thing to do, of course, pull out your 2016 strategy, and then you'll want to start pulling together your analytics. You want to look at those year-to-date analytics and see how that strategy has performed for you. And then just kind of start thinking about what you might want to adjust starting in January. And I recommend getting your team together and saying, okay, here's where we are. We've got September, October, November. We've got 4 months left this year. We want to hit the ground running in January. Let's start thinking about this now and get your whole team thinking along those lines, because I know we just got through the summer, or are getting through the summer. If you look at the thermometer here in Texas, you will know we are still in summer. But and I know the end of the year seems kind of far away, but trust me, it will be here before you know it. We will be ringing out the year and ringing in 2017, and we all need to make sure that we are as ready for January 1st as we can possibly be. So start thinking about that strategy. Okay, campers, that is it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Content Marketing Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please feel free to subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play Music, or via our RSS feed. And if you really like what you've heard, please leave us a quick review on iTunes. I would so appreciate it. Also, you just have a few more days to grab your super cool MVP bonuses when you pre-order my new book, The Content Marketing Coach. You can snag it at contentmarketingcoachbook.com. And again, those MVP bonuses include an exclusive webinar on time management for content marketers, a complimentary copy of the Content Marketing Coach's Playbook with some exclusive targeted strategies for your blog, your social media, and other areas like that, and even a phone consultation with me. So head on over to contentmarketingcoachbook.com to reserve your copy before August 31st to grab those bonuses. As you know, I always like to leave you with a quote, and today's comes from Jay Baer. Now, Jay Baer is one of those thought leaders who was kind enough to review the Content Marketing Coach and to offer an endorsement. So thank you, Jay. Jay once said, quote, "Make your marketing so useful, people would pay for it," unquote. Again, this is Rachel Parker with Resonance Content Marketing. Thank you again for listening, and we will see you again next week. Take care.